What's up, it's Joe with OCDetailing, and behind me I've got a Lamborghini Huracan, but this is no normal Huracan. This is a Huracan STO. This is the most track-focused version of the Huracan there is, and it comes in rear-wheel drive, so this thing's an absolute beast and a really fun time around a racetrack. The customer who brought this in actually lives really far away, and he wanted a truly custom install on this car, so he decided to drop it off with us and have us go through and do our magic with it. So we're gonna go through this thing. We're actually gonna do a full paint correction on it. Coming right out of the factory, I went over it with the customer. We found lots of dust nibs in the paint, lots of swirls, lots of scratches, lots of sanding marks, like tons of sanding marks on this. So we're gonna go through and polish everything and make it look as good as we can. We're gonna do a 100% custom matte PPF install. We're gonna wrap all the silver stuff on this car in matte, including doing the hood in one piece and the quarter panels in one piece with no relief cuts. And then all the gloss stuff on the car is actually gonna stay gloss. Now let's get it going. Here. And the STO is done. The guys crushed this thing. This is actually the hardest matte conversion I think we've ever done. A few weeks ago, we did a GR Corolla that we had to go from gloss to matte on that I thought was the hardest matte conversion we've ever done. And then this customer showed up with this STO and said, challenge accepted. Let's turn this thing matte. What made this especially hard too, aside from the crazy curves on this car and the physics-defying installs on the quarter panels where we had to do like 4 90-degree bends without any relief cuts, was that it's two-toned, and he wanted to keep the gloss parts gloss. So after we did our install, we had to very, very carefully cut along these lines on the roof and here and butt film up to it. You can't even tell there's a seam there. It looks like it came this way. And that's actually an option for this car if you wanted to do this two-tone matte and black. The customer originally ordered it in gloss, but changed his mind, so we were happy to oblige. I'm gonna walk you through some of the finer points of the install that would be very different from what you would typically get if you did like a pre-cut install on this car. I'm gonna start with the hood here. This big clamshell hood, I checked out various patterns for it. There's a pattern that either separates it right here on this line, or there's patterns that separate it right here, and they have this back piece in a different piece. Also, they have a big separation right there. But we did this whole thing in one piece. There's no lines here. We actually wrapped it all the way under, where I noticed a lot of the patterns for some reason would stop right here. Along with doing that, we seamed this right here. So there's a line right here where there's clear film to matte, and butted it in so we could retain the gloss of that. We also wrapped all these carbon fiber pieces. The templates for these had big relief cuts here and here. We actually did it all in one piece. Same type of deal down here. This right here, this piece, it's impossible to do in one piece, but the pattern for this had it in several pieces, and we were able to get it down in 1, 2, 3. We got it down in 3 pieces with minimal lines. We also did a separate piece on the bottom here, so in case he ever scrapes that, you know, that'll be an easier replacement without having to do the big piece. We could just pull this piece off for him and get it replaced, because as you can see, this car has, I don't know, 3 inches of ground clearance. Also wrapped this red piece all the way under. Along with that, like before we did any of that, we went through and polished this car, and you know, for a very expensive car, it never ceases to amaze me how many paint defects came from the factory on this thing. Everyone's like, why do I need to polish my new car? And I'm like, well, that $500,000 one over there had dust in the paint, buffer swirls, sanding marks, scratches, but we cleaned all that up before we did our wrap. And as I continued to go around this thing, like the roof. So again, he went matte. So this is all, there's a seam right here where we butted this up. We butted the 2 films up to each other. So we retained the gloss up here. We did matte right here. When wrapping the doors, we actually took the mirrors off. In order to get the mirrors off this car, you have to remove this window and the carbon fiber door panel on the inside. And then that allowed us to actually do this install without having a line right here, which would be very typical. I highly doubt very many shops are willing to do that because it's very tedious, difficult, and I don't know how much a piece of glass for a Lamborghini costs, but I don't ever want to find out either because it's very risky to remove the glass. But you know, we're super careful and OCD about it, so it was all wrapped in towels while we had it off the car. Another thing that we actually did in one piece versus the pre-cut that had a bunch of lines on it was these carbon fiber accents. So this is all one big piece. It's got little reliefs here, here, here as needed so that we could still do it. But that saves you from having like just a bunch of lines all the way down. And then the door handles. So again, if this was gloss, it wouldn't be that big of a deal if we wrapped this and we left like, you know, a little edge right here, but we couldn't do that because it was going matte. So we had to take all this apart so we could wrap this all in. Along with that, you know, we had to do the door jamb in here too. So the door jamb's matte as well. And then we wrapped the rocker panels all the way up to here. So this is all covered. I can testament getting in and out of this car kind of sucks. And when you're doing it, you can actually pretty easily hit any of this stuff. So we wanted it to be protected. And then the quarter panel. This is something that most people would have a lot of trouble with. And I saw it online. I saw a lot of my colleagues that do this various different ways. Some of them put relief cuts right here. Some of them put them right here. Some of them do them both places. Some of them actually do separate pieces. But this is all one piece. So we went, you know, this was, film was laid in here, so it was all relaxed, no tension. Lifted up, brought over, brought back down. And then well, that actually, getting through that was actually extremely difficult. But then managing to finish with this made it extra hard over here. So this rounded little hump was just another complexity of this install. It took us a couple tries to do this, but we were really happy with the results we got. Moving around to the car, this big back piece back here, we did this in one piece. So we actually took this all apart, we took it off the car, we bulked this. This is all laid out because the pattern had this in a bunch of different pieces. Again, I didn't want to do that. I thought it was better to have a couple light relief cuts where it drops down versus having, you know, seams all over this. And not that, you know, functional clear bra is functional clear bra, right? Like even with patterns, but if you have that many lines on it, like there's such a chance of something to go wrong, pressure washing it or dirt building up in the, like a little bit of adhesive seeping out and causing dirt to build up over time. So we really wanted to make sure we minimize the lines on this car so that it looks as good as possible for as long as possible. Because if he takes it to the racetrack and stuff, it's gonna get dirty. I mean, you're gonna wanna clean it, and then it'd suck if you had to like be really careful around all this stuff, right? Because you do this to make the car easier to maintain, and so you don't have to worry about it getting damaged when you drive. And if you have a bunch of lines everywhere, now you're worried about your clear bra lifting when you wash the car, which could be annoying too. The bumper, again, is two-toned, so more fun for us over here. And I'll show this. So this right here goes like this. It bends in, and comes back over. It carries this line that goes down. So the templates for this car have actually a separate, they split this right here, like on this line, and they actually have a separate piece down here. What we were able to do is we did it in one piece, and then we have a line right here. So we actually do a patch under here, that's just right there, which I feel like is a lot better, especially on silver on the back of the car where it's going to get really, really dirty. The rear diffuser, again, we went right up to the edge here. Like there's no, you can't see a gap or anything. It's all wrapped over. On here, we had to do this in a couple separate pieces, but we minimized it. Again, we bulked this so that we could keep it to a minimum. This piece right here, we actually did an extra piece so you can see why. The tires are just going to beat the crap out of this, or the tires are just going to beat the snot out of this. So we did an extra piece right here so that if he has a tearaway, so if this ever gets beat up, we could just rip that piece off for him. And then again, another one-piece quarter panel over here. Oh, spoiler, you know, so this was actually really complicated too. Like, if you've ever asked yourself, can a car have enough 90-degree bends? I'm going to say this one, yes. It's too many. It's too much, Lambo. It looks cool, but too much. So, spoiler's wrapped all the way under. You know, there's a seam on the spoiler, obviously, because you have to connect it somewhere, but we put them up here, so there's no lines or anything back there. And then when we got done, we actually finished the entire car with CQuartz Finest Reserve. The wheels, paint, glass, trim. We did some 3M crystalline window tint, and now this thing's ready to rock and go home. And I'm actually happy to see it leave. Thanks for watching. I'm Joe with OC Detailing.